So good morning, everyone. I want to thank you so much for having me today. My name is Heather Vanner, and I'm the Executive Director with Community Resource Service, which operates the Brantford Food Bank. I've been in social services since moving to Brantford in 1990, and have been the Executive Director of the Food Bank for over 20 years. I want to give you a little bit of a history of the food bank, just so you understand the roots of the organization and kind of where we've come from. Brantford started, our organization started as the Brantford Unemployed Help Center as a response to the recession back in 1980s. We were incorporated in 1988 as the nonprofit charitable organization. We were formed essentially by local unions to support families and people affected by layoffs, unemployment, people needing jobs, and really people who needed food for their families at the time. It was a really stressful time for our community. In 1999, our organization started Habitat for Humanity Brant, and in 2000, we actually started Brant Food for Thought. Both organizations were fostered under Community Resource Service as a continued response to the needs of people who were economically stressed. We have a number of programs to support individuals who are experiencing economic stressors. Not only do we operate the food bank, but we have our community employment service, which provides support to individuals who are looking for work. It's funded by the Government of Ontario and provides resource and information, employment counseling, computer labs, resume and cover letter help, workshops, and job placements to individuals needing work. We refer food bank clients to this service, and we receive direct client referrals from Service Canada, employment insurance programs, as well as the City of Brantford social assistance programs, Ontario Works, and ODSP. We also offer our Christmas Baskets program that's been in our community for over 60 years. We're providing support over the holiday season to family and children with toys and food. Since COVID, we've moved to a gift card model for that program, and it's changed significantly because of COVID, but it is working for families. You know, we really do think that it's nice to be able to actually give the gift of choice to families. The gift of being able to choose food and to choose toys for their children means a lot to our families that use that service. We also have our income tax program that provides support to individuals who need help getting their income tax complete. This past year, we completed almost 360 income tax returns with the help of our volunteers from Millards. And as well, obviously, you know, the Brantford Food Bank, and, you know, we're providing emergency food bank services in our community. We have our community food share program that supports 17 other meal and food programs in our community across the city and the county. We have our back to school backpack program. We provided almost 300 backpacks to children whose families used the food bank last September. And we have many smaller programs as well. So I'm happy to be here today and to share with you a little bit more about the food bank. So the first question that a lot of people, you know, wonder about is, what exactly is a food bank? If you don't know or you haven't been to a food bank, it's understanding, you know, who we are and what we do. And a food bank, you know, essentially is a free service that collects food donations or purchases food and gives that food out to people who need food and don't have enough to eat. Some food banks offer both individualized service and warehousing to actually exclusively support other organizations. Like our organizations, most food banks started to support individuals during the difficult 1980s recession. And really, food banks can be very small or very, very large. In some rural small communities, volunteers run the food banks through local churches or other small community food cupboards. They're feeding those local families in need in rural areas. In larger cities like Kitchener or Toronto or Thunder Bay, they really offer just really warehousing. They operate large warehouse facilities that support other organizations. They warehouse and share food amongst a group of agencies or smaller programs that provide food directly to individuals. And they're bringing in large corporate donations and then sharing them with those other agencies. Medium-sized cities and communities like ours provide both types of service. Here in Brantford, we provide direct emergency food support to individuals and households that need food assistance, and we provide food and grocery items as well to 17 other meal and food programs within our city to help supply them with food and supplies for community meals, cooking, and snack programs. So who are we as an organization? We, as an organization, have a mission that really is quite simple. We help. Our staff, our volunteers pride ourselves on being a resource really for anyone who is looking for assistance. And we may not have the service that they're looking for, but we will find the information that individuals need to help them find the assistance that they require. Our vision, we think, is quite bold. We want to see a community that is fed and working and connected. And we want to see everyone in our community with enough food to sustain themselves and their families. We want people to be working or contributing to their community in a way that is meaningful for them. And we want our community and people in it to feel connected to each other and to the community itself. Like we found through COVID, it's easy to feel isolated, even in a large community. But people need to be connected to resources, to information, and to other people. We want our programs, our services, our volunteers, staff, and board to embody our values, being professional, being resourceful, and responsible with the charitable donations that we receive, being compassionate to the individuals that walk through our door, being responsive to them and to our community, and being community-minded and being active in our community. Many people don't realize that the support that we receive as a local food bank comes from a wide network of organizations all working together to alleviate hunger. Food Banks Canada works with the national corporate donors to ensure partnerships and relationships are built to support sharing donated food and funds across Canada. A really good example of this recently is the local Walmart Fight Hunger Spark Change campaign, where the local Walmart collects monetary donations at their checkouts. And this corporate campaign to support actually supports food banks across Canada. Now, the nice piece is what's raised in Brantford stays in Brantford in a lot of these cases. And we were lucky in this case, the Walmart campaign actually just recently raised almost $16,000 for our organization, just at our one local Walmart store. So it tells you the power of the national network and their relationship with larger corporations. Feed Ontario is our provincial association, and they work with food producers in Ontario to procure donations of chicken, eggs, and milk to support our local food bank. They also provide transportation and food sharing across the province and have developed standards and guidelines for local food banks to follow, and have assisted food banks in implementing data collection software. Ours is linked to Feed, which provides both local and provincial data on food bank use. And our Southwest Kitchener-Waterloo distribution hub is operated through the Food Bank of Waterloo region. They procure food from food manufacturers and producers across the Southwest region and share that food with food banks across the area. Our food bank, as I mentioned, provides both emergency food programming and community food share programs. We share our donations with individuals and families who use the food bank itself, but we also share with 17 other meal and food programs in our community as part of our food share initiative. And sometimes we receive donations large enough that we can actually share up the chain rather than down. So we recently received a donation of meat from one of our local food processors in town, and we were actually able to call Kitchener-Waterloo and say, look, you know what, this donation is so great, we actually have too much and we can't store it all. Can you take some and share it further across the network? So it really is a relationship of both up and down in terms of trying to ensure that we're alleviating hunger, not only in our local community, but how can we help each other as a network of food sharing programs? So why food banks? Why do they exist? I'm one of the few people, I think, in Brantford that most people would love to see unemployed. I think that as an organization, we recognize that people don't want to see food banks exist. They want people to have enough. Everyone should have enough food to meet their basic needs. But unfortunately, food banks do exist. And that can be for a variety of reasons. And it usually comes down to people just don't have enough. They don't have enough food. And why does that happen? Precarious employment, temporary jobs or contract jobs. Lots of people are holding down multiple part-time jobs, or they're self-employed and they're just having a hard time making ends meet. Low wages. A living wage in Brantford right now is $19.80 an hour. Many jobs don't pay that. Many are just paying minimum wage, which is just over $16 an hour. So there's a huge gap for many, many people in our community around what's happening with food costs, housing costs, and what they're actually earning on a daily and weekly basis. High food costs, and everyone right now is affected by this. But if you're on a fixed or low income, food prices are literally creating crisis right now for people and individuals. Housing costs, and really it's the same as food costs. For those who are just making ends meet, if your mortgage was renewed this year or your rent has been increased, times are becoming really, really stressful for those households. It's really, really hard. Right now, over 50% of the people using food banks are on some type of social assistance. Ontario Works, Ontario Disability Support Programs, or pensions. And income is just not keeping up with the cost of living or current rates of inflation. People on very rigid income are having a very, very difficult time right now. Many people are worried that the food bank is seeing a dramatic increase in use, and right now we are. With COVID, though, we saw many individuals and families stay home, even when they needed food. We saw families rely on each other. We saw the pilot for basic income was started in our area, and those who were selected for this program found that they did not need to use the food bank. And that's why on the graph in front of you, you see how, in 2012, we were running just over 1,200 households a month actually using the food bank on a regular basis. And we tipped up a little bit in 2019, but you see that dramatic drop in 2020. And it took us a little bit to understand because a lot of food banks actually were having a really hard time through COVID. It was really stressful. And we locally were kind of wondering, like, what's going on, right? Why isn't it happening? And we started thinking about it and looking at it. And what happened, if you think about all the things that were happening at the time, as I said, the basic income pilot was starting. We had COVID relief funds happening in our community. And people were generally just really relying on each other and staying home. People were not going out of their homes. And so we saw that drop. But you see, right, from 2020 to now, we are rising rapidly in terms of the number of people that are needing to use the food bank. We are seeing a dramatic increase to pre-pandemic levels. And in this past month alone, food bank use has actually risen over 30%. So on the chart, you can see the total households in May, month to month from 2012, each May from 2012 to this past month. And in 2023, just in May right now, as of today, over 1,110 households have used the food bank in the month of May. So who are the people who need food banks? Who are they? Well, as you can see, 1,110 households use the food bank. That's representing 2,435 people this past month needed food support in our community just through the food bank alone. 34% of them are children whose families just can't make ends meet. They are seniors living on fixed income. They are employed individuals, people who are working part-time, full-time, or maybe recently were laid off. They're single people, people with one income, and it's getting harder for them to afford the cost of housing and food with just one income in that household. And new Canadians, international students, the Indigenous population are also increasing in terms of the need of food support and food security. So how do we help? We help by offering a wide variety of programs and services to support individuals and families in need. And we're providing food assistance on a very large scale. $3.2 million worth of food and groceries was distributed through our local food bank last year. That says 283 pounds. That is not right. 283,000 pounds of fresh food was distributed to our community this past year. 17 community food share members provided support to our community. We helped, just in the last month, 218 babies and toddlers. 377 Go Snack bags were distributed to unhoused individuals. And we provided over 200 deliveries to seniors in our community as well. When I look at what we're providing, when I think about the food, fresh produce, meat, eggs, milk, and baked goods are provided regularly, along with what most people know food banks provide, which is non-perishable canned items, dry pasta, cereal, rice, those type of products most people know about. But it's important to understand that part of our goal as a food bank is also to provide nutritious, healthy food on a regular basis, and we're doing that. Also, home care products, personal care items, hygiene products, household cleaners, laundry soap, toilet paper, paper towel. We're getting those things on a reasonably regular basis as well right now as donations, and we're able to share those with our food providers and with the individuals that come through our door. That helps individuals obviously bring their grocery bill down, because sometimes those can be the most costly items when you're needing to buy groceries on a regular basis. Diapers, formula, baby food, snack packs, as I said, for homeless. And we're now providing, as I mentioned, those deliveries to seniors and disabled individuals who can't get to us. And the meal programs that we're providing to and the snack programs include places like the Brantford Blessing Center, St. Andrew's Soup for the Soul, Winston Court Housing, community breakfasts, lunches, dinners at churches and organizations across our community. We're all trying to provide meal and food to individuals who are suffering and needing help right now. So a big question that I get asked on a regular basis is, are we the answer? Are food banks the answer to the poverty issues that are happening, not only locally in our community, but really across the province and country? And the short answer there, no, we're not. A food bank is not the way to end poverty. A food bank is here to ensure people have enough to eat today. We're an emergency stopgap measure, except that that emergency stopgap has been in place now for over 30 years. In Brantford, I mentioned earlier, we were incorporated in 1988. It is our 35th anniversary, unfortunately and fortunately. We are proud that we've been in our community this long and have been able to support people for this long in our community. And we couldn't do it without the help of our community as well. But when we think about it, we've become a supplement to government income programs, but we receive no government funds to operate the Brantford Food Bank. Regular ongoing government funding for food banks does not exist. We received some funding through COVID as emergency support when the pandemic was in high gear, but we're now at a point where that funding has stopped and we are back to needing community donations on a regular basis to keep operating. We're a charity and we rely on our community to provide the support to us so we can provide services to our community. But food security is not about people knowing how to cook or how to make food last or not knowing how to make money stretch. Food insecurity is not about being lazy or not working or not being thrifty enough. It's actually quite amazing to me how resourceful and resilient our clientele is. Food insecurity is about not having enough income to afford the basic necessities of food and shelter. Food bank clients are some of the most resourceful people that I know. But we can make a difference. And how do we do that? We are not a long-term solution to food insecurity or poverty. But we can make sure that a family today has food. And we can help them by giving them enough food to help them get through the next few days. We right now in the food bank are providing about 5 days worth of food to each individual household that comes through the door. We provide food on a monthly basis. So once a month, individuals can come in to use the food bank and they get about a week's worth of food. We base the food on their family size. So an individual living singly is going to get a different base amount than a family of 5. But some things might be the same depending on how we might have or what we might have. For instance, if we have laundry soap and we have only one size of laundry soap that's been donated, everybody's going to get the same, but a larger family might get an extra. We can help unhoused individuals who come to the food bank but has no facilities to cook a meal. So we will look at an individual's individual circumstance and try to help them figure out what's going to work best for them. We look at cultural differences, and we try to provide food for individual health needs as well. We can ensure that a single mom or a single dad has enough food for their kids for dinner tonight, and maybe even give them enough so they can help them make sure they have a nutritious lunch tomorrow and the next day and the next day at school. We want to be sure that we're providing enough. And as I said, more than just those non-perishable items that most people know about. The picture on the screen that you see is actually one of the kits that we provide to a large family. It includes a bag of milk. It includes, I see croissants in the corner, and toilet paper, and soup, and beans, and cereal, and different things that we can provide based on the donations that we receive. We can help a new mom who's undernourished herself by giving her food to eat so that she can keep her energy levels up, and also providing formula and baby food and diapers and other products to help ensure that that baby is well looked after as well. And we can help by delivering hampers of food to seniors or disabled individuals who are shut in and have no family to help them, or no connections in the city to help them. And that's been something that, again, through COVID, we've been able to build on. The need is great. We're still not able to provide as many deliveries as we'd like to. But at the same time, just the fact that we've been able to grow that and be able to provide that service to our community has really been something that we're proud of since COVID began. As a community, we can make a difference. And as I've said, I really appreciate the opportunity to come and give you a little bit of background on food banks and what's happening here locally right now, particularly post-COVID. It's changed, and we've gone through a tremendous change here at the food bank in terms of how we provide service, the amounts that we're able to give. But we also know that right now, with the cost of living, as I've mentioned, the increased food pricing, and the amount of individuals that are starting to come through our door again, if our economy hits a rough patch, which right now no one is saying the words recession, no one's saying that that's happening yet. We are talking about inflation, and that's impacting us now. But if the economy hits a recession, we are going to really be in a perfect storm. We are seeing the number of individuals rise, and the amount of donations will continue to drop, because people right now, with the cost of food, are struggling to pay for their own groceries, let alone thinking about making a donation to the food bank. And it's the same with monetary donations. Monetary donations are the same. The cost of living, the cost of housing, cost of food is all rising, and people are holding on to their donations. So if the economy takes a hit moving forward, the need for our services is going to continue to grow. So I encourage you to continue to learn more and to help more. You can follow us on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram, and you can find ways to help us by donating time. We always need volunteers. Food donations are really good for us, and funds to help us purchase food and provide the services that we do at our website, brantfordfoodbank.ca. Thank you so much again for inviting me to talk to you today. I really appreciate it, and I look forward to your questions.